moments. Listen to Craig Stammen's post-game comments. Plus, we'll bring you today's play of the game. From the Padres Radio Network, here's Sam Levitt.
Welcome into our Jamul Casino Resort Padres post-game show here on the Padres Radio Network. Final score today, the Mets 2 and the Padres 1 as the Padres drop this series opener in New York. A lot to do on our post-game coverage. We'll hear from Craig Stammen. We have all the radio highlights for you. Full look at the out-of-town scoreboard and much, much more as we begin to wrap this one up. What is a pretty frustrating game for the Padres in New York. As always, our post-game coverage brought to you by Jamul Casino Resort. Hey player with epic SoCal views, a full bar and poolside bite. Starlight Pool at Jamul Casino Resort is pool season perfected and day passes are available. Jamul Casino Resort, the player's place. Well, this was a weird game, and I would say a frustrating game for the Padres at Citi Field in New York tonight. Let's get to first the really weird part of it and unfortunate part of it, and that was that all the action in this game came in the first two innings. And from a Padres standpoint, from purely a baseball standpoint, I don't know that you will ever see what you saw in the first couple of innings ever again for as long as you watch baseball. When you consider that the Padres in the first two innings of this game had 5 hits, 2 walks, a hit batsman, and they ended up with not only just 1 run in the first 2 innings of this game, but they ended up getting 3 runners thrown out at home plate and a runner forced out at home plate. But 3 outfield assists, 2 from right from Carson Bench, and 1 from A.J. Ewing in left. In the first 2 innings, the Padres had 3 guys thrown out at home plate. And that really ended up being the story of this game. The Mets got 2 in the first inning. The Padres ended up getting a run in the second. But again, all they got was the 1 run, and they had so many runners on base. I mean, consider this. Against Nolan McLean in the first 2 innings, there was a point where the Padres put 7 consecutive base runners on. From Cronenworth having a 1-out single in the first inning, it went Cronenworth single, Manny single, France single, Merrill single, and amazingly, the Padres didn't score a run in that first inning because they had 2 guys thrown out at home plate. The start of the second inning, walk, hit by pitch, walk. That's 7 guys in a row that get on base, either via a base hit, a walk, or a hit by pitch. And the Padres, out of all that, only got 1 run, and it came on a sac fly from Fernando Tatis Jr. To give you an idea of how crazy the first couple of innings were, okay, there was this note. Since at least 1920, tonight, the Mets became the only team to have 3 outfield assists at home plate in the first 2 innings of a game. Let me repeat that one more time. Since at least 1920, the Mets became the only team to have 3 outfield assists at home plate in the first 2 innings of a game. So when I tell you that you saw something tonight that you probably won't see again, you really did. And unfortunately, it came at the Padres' expense. That was sort of the really weird, unfortunate part of this game. The other weird part of this game was those first 2 innings told you about all you needed to know regarding the game. It was 2-1 after an inning and a half. And guess what? The final score of this game ends up being 2-1, the Mets winning it in this series opener. I mean, the game totally calmed down. Walker Buehler ended up putting together a really nice outing, settled in a major way. 6 innings, 2 runs given up. You had Nolan McLean, who I thought honestly did not look very good in this game. I did not think he had good command. I did not think he had really great stuff tonight either. He's a guy who really spins it. You know, you could tell if you were watching the game. Listening to the game, Jesse and Tony talking about it, but he wasn't great. And then you had 3, relievers that I don't know that you've heard of necessarily in Pintaro, Lavender, and Duarte. Remember, the Mets made a lot of trades at the deadline. They're trotting out, young guys, inexperienced major league guys out of that bullpen right now, and the Padres couldn't get to those guys. So the story of this game ended up being what happened in the first 2 innings, and more specifically, what happened with the guys getting thrown out at home plate. You also had Xander Bogaerts run through a stop sign. That was when Cronenworth had the single in the second. That was the third runner thrown out at home plate in the first couple of innings. And remember, they also had a guy forced out at home in the second inning as well. So it was a weird, unfortunate game, and I do think Tony really nailed it in the post-game wrap. I do think if you're the Padres tonight, you are frustrated. I mean, this felt like not only because of the first 2 innings, but because McLean really wasn't on his game. You trailed by a run all night. It just felt like a winnable game. Now, is it the end of the world that the Padres didn't win the ball game here tonight? No, of course it's not the end of the world. Diamondbacks are losing. Phillies are winning by a run right now. We'll keep an eye on those games. And again, we talked about it yesterday. I don't want to get too crazy yet with the scoreboard watching. We still got a long way to go here on August 17th. But hey, this time of year when you have an opportunity to win a game or you feel like a game is really winnable, it's going to be frustrating when you don't win that ball game. So I thought this was frustrating tonight, and with Jesse and Tony, the way they wrapped it up. And again, you're going to remember this game from the first 2 innings. I mean, you just don't see that. You do not see 3 guys get thrown out from the outfield at home plate in the first 2 innings of the game. And had the Padres, found a way to get 1 of those runs in, found a way to get 2 of those runs in, they may end up winning the game. So just a really odd, unfortunate game where you saw some stuff you never see, and the activity in the first 2 innings ends up being the ball game. It settled down after that, and I was joking with Jeff Hamby, our studio coordinator, as I walked back in the studio for the post game, and I said, man, after I sent you that text with the highlights we needed, around the 3rd inning, nothing else really happened of note. And that really was the story of the game here tonight. So weird, kind of unfortunate loss in the series opener in New York. We'll see if the Padres can bounce back tomorrow. When we come back, we'll continue to wrap this one up. We'll get into our radio highlights, full game recap here from Craig Stammen. Coming up a little bit later as well, final score in New York tonight, Mets 2 and the Padres 1, our Jamul Casino Resort. Padres post-game show continues after this on the Padres Radio Network. Jamul Casino Resort Padres post-game show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios. Final score here today, the Mets 2 and the Padres 1, as the Padres unfortunately dropped the first game of this 3-game series in New York. Padres now 2-2 on this 6-game road trip to Cleveland and to New York. We'll see if the Padres can bounce back in the middle game of this series tomorrow. Still a lot to do on our post-game coverage. We will hear from Craig Stammen coming up in a little bit. We'll have a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard. Like I said before the break, most of what you needed to know about this game happened in the first inning and a half. Let's recap this one.
Which moments determine the outcome of today's game? We'll paint you a picture with our game highlights on the Padres Radio Network.
Well, we truly had a ridiculous first 2 innings of this game. No other way to put it. Right-hander Nolan McLean took the mound for the Mets in the top of the first inning. The Padres rallied. Jay Cronenworth singled. Manny Machado singled. That brought up Ty France. He singled to right, but Mets right fielder Carson Benj threw out Jay Cronenworth at home plate. That was out number 2, but the Padres still had runners at first and second. Jackson Merrill dug in.
0-2, Merrill swings, rips it into right field. That's a base hit. Machado rounding third on his way. Benj comes up throwing again. Here's the play at the plate. He is out. Benj gets 2 here in the first. And that's it for the Padres in the top half of inning number 1.
Back-to-back outfield assists, recording the out at home plate for Carson Benj in right field, the rookie right fielder for the New York Mets. That throw by Benj to get Machado at home, it was clocked at 103.9 miles per hour, the third fastest recorded outfield assist in the MLB StatCast era. I mean, it was crazy. Benj throws out 2 guys on back-to-back plays. Bottom 1, Walker Buehler took the mound in somehow still a scoreless game. He got in trouble. A.J. Ewing hit a leadoff single for New York. Francisco Lindor walked. That brought up Bo Bichette.
And Bichette hits it on the ground to the right side. France dives, can't get there. Neither can Cronenworth. It's into right field. Ewing rounding third. He'll score. The throw goes to third. Not in time. RBI single, Bo Bichette. And on his bobblehead night, he's given the Mets a 1-0 lead.
Luis Robert Jr. would drive in another run with a sac fly to make it 2-0. So the Padres trailed 2-0 going to the second. They loaded the bases with nobody out against McLean in the top of the second. A walk, a hit batter, and then another walk. With 1 out and the bases still loaded, Fernando Tatis Jr. came just a few feet away from hitting a grand slam. Instead, it was a sac fly to left. That scored a run. That made it a 2-1 game. But the Padres still had runners on first and second, 2 men away. Jay Cronenworth stepped in.
0-1 on the ground through the left side and a base hit. Bogart's rounding third on his way. Here's Ewing's throw to the plate. He is out at home. Unbelievable. For the 4th time in 2 innings, the Padres are out at home.
Yeah, the 4th time in 2 innings. There were 3 guys thrown out at home plate on a tag play. There was also a force out in that first 2 innings as well. So the Padres in the first 2 innings of this game, they made 6 outs. 4 of them had come at home plate. We told you a little bit earlier, we gave you that nugget about how long it's been since a team made 3 outfield assists at home plate in the first 2 innings of a game. How about this, just from a Padres standpoint? The Padres had 3 runners thrown out at home, all with outfield assists on the plate in a game. This was the first 2 innings. We're talking about in a game here. First time it's happened since April of 1991. So after all of that, the Padres trailed 2-1. Crazy game through an inning and a half. At that point, the Padres had 5 hits, 2 walks, a hit batter. They had 3 runners thrown out at home plate. Most importantly, after all that, they had 1 run on the board. From there, the game really settled down. That was thanks to both starting pitchers. Buehler pitched a 1-2-3 second. McLean pitched a 1-2-3 top of the third. Buehler worked around a 1-out walk in the bottom half of the inning. A scoreless 4th inning for both. A scoreless 5th inning for both. A scoreless 6th inning for both. McLean allowed just 1 run through 6 innings. Through the end of the 6th inning, Buehler had retired 17 of the last 18 Met batters. So we still had a 2-1 game going to the 7th inning. The bullpens took over. Mets right-hander Jonathan Pintaro tossed the scoreless top of the seventh. Kyle Hart came on for the Padres in the bottom half. He pitched a scoreless inning. Pintaro stayed on for the eighth inning. He got the first out. The lefty Nate Lavender got the last 2 outs of the eighth inning. Kyle Hart stayed on for the bottom of the eighth inning. Padres still down 2-1. He allowed back-to-back singles to put 2 on with nobody out, so a golden opportunity to add on for the Mets, but Hart did a great job retiring the next 3 hitters. That kept the score 2-1. So after all of that, the Padres were still down 2-1, down by a run going to the 9th inning. Right-hander Daniel Duarte came on for the Mets. He struck out Gavin Sheets. He got a pop out from Xander Bogaerts, and Luis Rengifo struck out to end the game. And that was it. That was your ball game here tonight. All the action, all the scoring, all the craziness coming in the first 2 innings of the game. It was 2-1. The score was 2-1 at the end of the ball game here tonight. Unfortunate loss for the Padres in this series opener. 2 runs on 5 hits, no errors for the Mets. 1 run, 7 hits, no errors for San Diego. Winning pitcher here tonight, Nolan McLean, who improves to 9-8. Walker Buehler, tough loss for him. He was good. 6 strong innings tonight, drops to 7-6. And Daniel Duarte picks up his 2nd save with the Mets this season. The Padres drop to 67-59. Mets improve to 57-69. Let's step aside. When we return, we will hear from Padre manager Craig Stammen. That comes your way after this.
We'll be right back.
Jamul Casino Resort Padres post-game show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios. Final score here today, Mets 2 and the Padres 1. Tough loss for the Padres in the series opener in New York. Still a lot to do. We'll hear from Craig Stammen in just a moment. We'll have a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard coming your way as well in a little bit. Again, this was a weird game. Really was. I mean, the Padres had 4 outs made at home plate in the first 2 innings. And if you're just joining us and you're scratching your head saying, what? How is that possible? That's weird. Yeah, it was. It was really weird. It was really odd and like you never see it. I mean, again, the numbers bear it out here. The Padres hadn't had in a game, not just the first 2 innings, in a game, they had not had 3 runners thrown out at home plate on outfield assists with all on outfield. Let me rephrase this. The last time the Padres had 3 runners thrown out at home, all with outfield assists on the plays, it was back in April of 1991. Okay, that's how long it had been since that had happened in a game. And then you just had the general baseball standpoint. Let me pull this note back up. I had it pulled up a moment ago. Since at least 1920, the Mets tonight became the only team to have 3 outfield assists at home plate in the first 2 innings of a game. Since 1920, it had been more than 100 years since we saw something like that tonight. So, look, it was a mix of, I suppose, all of it. The Sens, great throws by Benj and Ewing. Benj especially has a great arm and right. And then you had Xander Bogaerts running through a stop sign in the second. And he gets thrown out at home. So it was a mix of all types of issues where the Padres had, 3 guys thrown out on outfield assists. And again, they also had a guy forced out at home, which wasn't as, big of a deal, really. It was, bases loaded, nobody out. It's Tapper back to the mound, and McClain got the out at home. So that was kind of normal, but still 4 outs at home plate in the first 6 outs you make in a game. It was wacky. And the other weird part about the way it transpired tonight was that it was a 2-1 score after an inning and a half, and that ended up being the final score. All the action in this game came in the first 3 half innings, and then the starting pitcher settled in. Buehler was good tonight. Hey, that is a silver lining, a bright spot from this game. Walker Buehler, solid, 6 innings, 2 runs given up on 2 hits. Even Kyle Hart, 2 scoreless innings out of the pen. He was good. And then you had, and again, I think this adds to the frustration of this game, you just didn't feel like McClain for the Mets was very sharp in this game, and you certainly had him on the ropes in the first couple of innings. Again, and I don't mean to belabor the point here, but the Padres at one point, they had 7 consecutive guys reach base in the first 2 innings. They had a single, walk, hit by pitch, walk. That was the sequence in the first and the second. And with all that, they end up getting just 1 run. So, look, that's where the game, unfortunately, was won and lost here today. Tough one for the Padres, no doubt about that. Let's go back to New York, to Citi Field in Queens, and hear from Craig Stammen.
Let's pull up a seat in the manager's office and hear from Padres skipper Craig Stammen. Served up by Sinley Food. If you've had better chicken, you must be a rooster.
Craig, how crazy is that first couple of innings? You guys, a lot of base runners and the plays of play.
Yeah, credit to them. They made some, really good throws at home plate. We had 3 chances to score, and they got us for every single one. Our mentality is to be aggressive on the base paths, make the other team make a play. Tonight, they made plays.
The one play looked like, Jake held up, had to see if the ball was caught, and it looked like this kid who has, been throwing people out had a pretty good play. What was your view on that?
Yeah, exactly. I think, where Jake was in the base path, and then where, he was stagnant. He wasn't, moving much. And I think it just took him a while to get going, and kid made a great throw. If that throw's on the money, if it's a little bit off, we have run, on all 3 of them. If any of those throws, bounce a little awkwardly, or they're 2 feet one way or 2 feet the other way, or the catcher hits it off his glove, we haven't run. And they just made perfect plays there.
How much did it feel at that point, though, that like you guys, all right, you kept knocking on the door?
Yeah, we were knocking on the door all night against McClain. He battled through it, fought his command, I think, early, and then, kind of settled in as we went. But I thought we had some good at-bats against him. We just weren't able to punch through.
That's kind of my next question. general quality of bats? You had a lot of contact, a lot of chances to score. Is that kind of all you can really hope for and hope to score when you do?
Yeah, I mean, the goal is put as many runners on base as possible and then come up with a hit. We just didn't come up with a hit tonight. You know, they had a few C&I singles that got through that allowed them to score some runs.
Who'd you think of Walker tonight?
I thought he pitched great. You know, the first inning, gave up the leadoff hit, walk Lindor. Probably that walk is probably one that he wants back. And then Bichette hits one past two diving people and sac fly, and then he's down 2-0. But after that, they really didn't get anything off of him.
You know, it's kind of crazy that there were 3 such plays, but like to kind of break them down, like each individual. Like was the Cronenworth one maybe of the 3, like the one that was the most aggressive of the sends, or like just generally philosophically with one out, or kind of how would you kind of assess each one and the risks associated with going for it there?
Yeah, I mean, you could say there's risk in all of them, and there's also a way to play conservative and, you know, hope that we get a hit off one of the best pitchers in all of baseball. So we love the aggressive mentality. That's just how we're going to play baseball.
That was Padres manager Craig Stammen following this 2-1 loss to the Mets in New York tonight. Look, Padres were very aggressive on the bases in those first couple of innings. Just didn't work out. Again, it's a mix of all of it. It was the sends, aggressive, and they've been aggressive all year in that sense. It was the plays. Make no mistake. I mean, there were 3 outstanding throws from Benj and Ewing in right and left, and then you had Xander running through a stop sign. So it was all of it. I'm not going to put guys getting thrown at home plate on one particular thing because it was such an odd first couple of innings, but it was all of it, right? I mean, you probably, if you have a blame pie, you probably give, some to your third base coach, probably give some to your base runners. You probably, give a good amount to the outfielders that made the plays. You give a little bit to Xander for running through a stop sign. Like, it was a little bit of all of it. And again, the funny thing about it is, for as unfortunate as the first couple of innings were, again, the Padres were only down by a run the whole game, basically. I mean, they had 7 innings where they trailed by a run, and they couldn't get to McLean. They couldn't get to some, young guys out of the Mets bullpen, and the offense ultimately unable to mount a rally after those first 2 innings. So again, it's not on one person, not on one thing. It's a mix of a little bit of, a variety of different things here tonight as the Padres fall 2-1. Let's hear tonight's scoop of the game.
What was the most crucial defensive play in today's game?
Throw to first is in time.
This is the scoop of the game. Served up fresh by Brewster's Real Ice Cream in La Mesa, the official ice cream of the Padres Radio Network. Roll through their drive-thru, download the app, and get an additional free scoop. Brewster's Ice Cream, the best ice cream in San Diego.
1-1 is hit hard right to France on a line, makes the catch, hits first base, and a double play to end the inning. So it doesn't ground into the double play. He lines into the double play, and we played 3 here in New York.
That was our scoop of the game. Nice play by Ty France at third base. Line drive. Adam, off the bat of Bo Bichette, hit really hard, and then he went and tapped first base to convert the double play unassisted, getting Lindor, who had walked in the plate appearance prior. So nice play by Ty France, who, as always, plays a Gold Glove caliber defense at first base. That is tonight's scoop of the game. When we come back, we'll get into more of our daily awards. If you want to squeeze a phone call in, 833-288-0973. Phone number to call, again, 833-288-0973. The phone number. Final again here tonight, Mets 2 and the Padres 1. Our Jamul Casino Resort Padres post-game show continues after this. Our Jamul Casino Resort Padres post-game show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios. Final score today, Mets 2 and the Padres 1. As we wrap this one up on our post-game coverage brought to you by Jamul Casino Resort, the Players Place. Let's tell you about our relief pitcher of the game.
Which pitcher entered the game and slammed the door shut? This is today's relief pitcher of the game, brought to you by San Diego criminal defense attorney David P. Shapiro. We help good people regain control of their future when charged with a crime. Learn more at davidpshapirolaw.com.
Relief pitcher of the game here today. We'll give it to Kyle Hart. I mean, it's a pretty easy choice on the Padres side of things. 2 scoreless innings in this game in the bottom of the 7th inning, bottom of the 8th inning. I got to tell you, it didn't look great in that 8th inning. Gave up back-to-back singles, bounced back to strikeout Alvarez, strikeout Ewing, got a fielder's choice from Lindor, got out of that 8th inning with it still a 1-run game. I mean, look, for as unfortunate as the first couple of innings were tonight, Buehler and Hart did their part. I mean, they kept the Padres down by 1 forever in this game. And the Padres, look, bottom line is you score 1 run in a game, you're likely not going to win it. You score 2 in a game, you're probably not going to win it either. But the Mets got 2, the Padres got 1. Kyle Hart, 2 scoreless innings out of the pen. So for that reason, he did his part. He is tonight's relief pitcher of the game. Let's take a look at the Padre Heart of the order.
Let's take the pulse of the Padres and check in on the Heart of the Order, presented by Palomar Health Medical Group.
Heart of the order here tonight, Machado, France, Merrill, 3, 4, 5 spots. Manny, a base hit in this game, a single and a walk. Ty France, a single and a walk. Jackson Merrill, a single. Those all came, the hits in the first inning. Machado, France, and Merrill. Machado had a single. France had a single, a guy thrown out at home plate. And then Merrill had a single with a guy thrown out at home plate. Those happened in a row. So in the first inning, it was good for the Heart of the order. Rest of the game, not so much. A single each for Manny, France, and Merrill. All came in succession in the first inning, but unfortunately did not result in a run scoring for your San Diego Padres. So sort of a weird night for the Heart of the order as well. The 3, 4, 5 spots, Manny, France, and Merrill. All right, let's squeeze in a couple of phone calls here before we get to the out-of-town scoreboard and continue our post-game coverage. Let's go to Lugo calling in from San Diego. Lugo, you're on the Padres Radio Network on this Monday night. Welcome in.
Hey, Sam. Thanks for taking my call.
Yeah, Lugo, you got a bad connection. I'm sorry. You're breaking up there. I'm sorry. Try to call back quickly if you're hearing this. You got a bad connection. We'll try to get you on if you call back quickly. Let's go to Bill in San Diego. Bill, you're on the Padres Radio Network. Go ahead.
Hey, Sam. How you doing tonight?
Doing well.
Good. First of all, I want to do the positive. Walker pitched unbelievably.
Yeah, for sure.
After the bad first inning, he just basically dominated the last 5 innings of the game. So
Totally.
That's such a highlight to see. Second of all, is that when it's early in the game like that, and you have good hitters. I mean, Merrill is one of your hottest hitters coming up. You just have the bases loaded with 1 out.
Yeah.
And then with 2 outs, you got your highest average hitter coming up in Campusano after that. And you know, Machado has to be the slowest person on the Padres probably. And I think I understand what Stammen's saying. You want to be aggressive, you make the good throw.
Yeah.
But if you have good hitters coming up, it's a little frustrating. And it's too bad Bogaerts went through the sign, and I don't know for sure, but from the camera angle, it looks like Machado was out of position of telling them where to slide with the throw coming in. And if that's true, that's on Machado for not being in the correct position and helping Bogaerts to slide into the plate.
Yeah, Bill, look, we went over it a little bit earlier. Look, I think there's, a bit of different slices of blame pie to go around with how those first 2 innings unfolded. Look, of all of it, from a send perspective, the Cronenworth send with 1 out on the France single when you've got Jackson coming up, and at worst there, you've just got bases loaded with 1 out with your red-hot number 5 hitter and Merrill coming up. That was a very aggressive send in that spot, and Cronenworth was out by a mile. So Bob Henley, third base coach, I would imagine if you were to ask him, he probably wants that one back. It was a very aggressive send. Cronenworth was out by a lot. Look, you can make more of an argument for the send, even though Manny doesn't run great. Manny's a smart base runner. That doesn't have blazing speed, as we know. You could make a better argument for that one because there are 2 outs. Same with Bogarts as well. Again, 2 outs. You can make a little bit of a better argument. The one that I think you really wanted back was the Cronenworth send because, number one, you got Merrill coming up behind him or behind France. So you're going to have Merrill up with the bases loaded, and Cronenworth was out by a mile at home plate. He was by far, out of the 3 guys thrown out at home plate from the outfield, Cronenworth was by far and away the guy thrown out by the most. Let's go to Lugo. Try him one more time. Lugo, hope you got a better connection. What's up?
Yeah. Hey, Sam, thanks for taking my call.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was at the at Sharps. I was visiting a friend. Now I'm out, and we were watching the game. And, I called about this some time ago, and I had to piggyback with the last caller. Not sure who's making those calls at third base, but, at this point, I think that they really got to take a look at what's going on because I know there's been times where it should have been a hold up and it was a send, and it should have been a send when it was when it was a hold up. And so I'm a little bit frustrated. This is definitely an L we shouldn't have taken, and hopefully we get these next 2. We should get these next 2, but that was just what I wanted to call about.
Yeah, Lugo, appreciate the phone call. Look, I said it earlier. Yeah, this was a frustrating loss overall because of what happened in the first 2 innings, and just for the fact that you trailed 2-1. I didn't think McLean was very good tonight. I'm sorry, I didn't think he was very good. I didn't think he was sharp. I've seen Nolan McLean pitch before. He was not sharp tonight, and the Padres were down by a run the whole game, basically, and they just couldn't find a way. So because of the first 2 innings, because you only had 1 run, you only gave up 2, you kind of wasted the outing from Walker Buehler, who was good tonight. It was a frustrating loss. It was. Hey, you still got a chance to win the next couple of days, win a series, but the Mets are playing well. We talked about it pregame. They've now won 10 out of their last 13. Their offense has actually been a lot better than it was tonight. But, they're finding ways right now. So it's not going to be the easiest next 2 games for you in New York. Hopefully the Padres can still find a way to win this series. Let's step aside. When we come back, full look at the out-of-town scoreboard on the Padres Radio Network. Our Jamul Casino Resort Padres postgame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios. Hey, player, need a little me time? Jamul Spa was just named one of the top 100 spas in America. Jamul Casino Resort, the Players Place. Let's take a full look at tonight's out-of-town scoreboard.
Let's take a trip around the bigs to highlight the scores that matter most with our out-of-town scoreboard. Presented by Jensen Premium Beef Patties. Always a hit for grilling.
Well, we have a number of games that have gone final already today. Let's get to those here quickly. Doubleheader today between the Cardinals and the Reds. Cardinals won game one of that doubleheader 2-1. Reds responded. They walked it off in the Cardinals in 10 innings, 6-5. Ellie De La Cruz, a walk-off hit in the 10th inning in that one. So Cardinals and Reds split that doubleheader. Rays beat the Orioles 7-6 in Tampa Bay. Phillies beat the Marlins 6-5 in Philadelphia. The Red Sox beat the D-backs 11-1 at Fenway Park. Royals beat the A's 9-5 in Kansas City. The games we have going on right now: Tigers ahead of the Pirates 8-5 in Pittsburgh in the 9th inning. Twins leading the Braves 4-2 in Minnesota in the 7th. White Sox leading the Cubs 5-4 in the 8th inning. Dodgers beating up on the Rockies in Colorado right now 9-1 in the 6th inning. Shohei Ohtani 2 home runs in that game for LA. And that is a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard on this Monday. Padres fall 2-1 to the New York Mets in this series opener in New York tonight. Let's hear tonight's play of the game.
One bounce, one hit, one pitch can be the difference between victory and defeat. What was the most important play in today's game? This is today's play of the game. Presented by Bill Howe Plumbing, Heating and Air, Restoration and Flood. We know how.
0-1 on the ground through the left side and a base hit. Bogart's rounding third on his way. Here's Ewing's throw to the plate. He is out at home. Unbelievable. For the 4th time in 2 innings, the Padres are out at home.
That was our play of the game, unfortunately, here tonight. The 3rd outfield assist in 2 innings from the Mets outfield to get a Padres runner at home plate. That time it was A.J. Ewing from left field throwing out Xander Bogaerts at home. And the reason we selected that one was because if Bogaerts scores, the Padres tie the game at 2. That inning ended with the Mets still ahead 2-1. They would go on to win it by that final score of 2-1. So again, the craziness of this game, everything that happened in the first couple of innings with the Padres getting 4 outs recorded at home plate, 1 force out, 3 guys thrown out from the Mets outfield at home plate. You'll never see something like it again. In all likelihood, what we saw in the first 2 innings in particular, and the throw from Ewing. That situation, ended up being the play of the game. Didn't allow the Padres to tie the game, and they fell by the final score of 2-1. So a weird, no good game for the Padres in New York. Today, we'll see if they can bounce back tomorrow at Citi Field. Speaking of tomorrow, our pitching matchup, left-hander Robbie Ray will make his 3rd start with the Padres. Left-hander Zach Thornton will make his start for the Mets. So veteran left-hander against a rookie left-hander. First pitch tomorrow, same time as today, 4:10 p.m. Pacific time. Our pregame coverage will begin at 3:10 right here on the Padres Radio Network. As always, if you missed any portion of our postgame coverage, you can go back and listen to all of it on the Inside San Diego Baseball podcast, available on the free Odyssey app or wherever you find your podcasts. Just to take a final look here at the up-to-date NL wildcard standings, this is the way things will look at the end of tonight. The Phillies gain a game on the Padres. So the Phillies now alone in the 2nd wild card spot. Padres drop to the 3rd wild card spot. D-backs lost today in Boston, so they drop a game, or I should say they stay a game behind the Padres for the final wild card spot. Then you got Miami 3 out, St. Louis 3 out. So that's a look at Where things stand, Padres at the end of today will again still hold the final wild card spot in the National League with the D-backs 1 out, Miami 3 out, St. Louis 3 out. A look at the final totals here tonight for the New York Mets. 2 runs, 5 hits, no errors. They left on 3 for the Padres. 1 run, 7 hits, no errors. They left on 8. Winning pitcher today, Nolan McLean, who improves to 9-8. Losing pitcher Walker Buehler, who drops to 7-6. And the save goes to Daniel Duarte, his second of the season. Time of game, 2 hours, 23 minutes. The crowd at Citi Field in Queens, New York. 27,842. Once again, first pitch tomorrow, 4:10 p.m. Pre-game coverage begins at 3:10. Until then, for our great studio coordinator, Jeff Hamby, I'm Sam Levitt saying so long and good night from inside our San Diego studios. Again, the final score in this one here tonight, the New York Mets 2 and the San Diego Padres 1. We'll talk to you tomorrow on the Padres Radio Network. Have a great night, everybody.
Thanks for joining us for the Jamul Casino Resort Padres postgame show. For the best coverage of the San Diego Padres, stay tuned to San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
Thank you for listening to this special presentation on San Diego's #1 sports station. We now join our regularly scheduled programming already in progress on 97.3 The Fan.
Wow. So I just found that out just at this moment. But we were talking about Franz Ferdinand because we came back from break with that song. And then I was like, that was the start of World War II, World War I? Eventually I was like, yeah, it was World War I.